What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of this custom F700 build. Today we are going to take this boring old straight C-channel frame and we're going to make it look like this. So stick around. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, throw a comment, throw a like, throw a dislike. Let's get into it. All right, so I went ahead and notched out everything where I needed it to go. I left that bottom of the frame. You can see that little piece, so I'll have something to weld to. It'll basically cap off this bottom. We'll be putting some sort of gusset between here and there just to kind of give it some extra strength. So now what I did was went ahead and got the frame all leveled up. The frame is level front to back. Now we're going to be putting the top arch on the, what is that thing called? C-notch. We know that's level. Now we'll put a little bullet level on top of here and just kind of start working it, tack it in, make sure it still stays good and level. Probably weld the bottom or the top, depending on which way it needs to go to get itself level. And then just keep burning it all in. All right, there you have it. Top piece is done. I'll go ahead and put the other angle piece here and then its tail out here. We are still good and level. We will rinse and repeat this to that side and then kind of just start tying left side to right side and everything else, and we'll just keep moving on. All right, I got the old notch all done on both sides, kind of tied together with this sort of 3x3 square tube in there. And now comes the fun part of trying to design some sort of air ride bag bracket system back here because, well, that's a big rear end and it's an offset rear end as well. Now, they have already shortened or narrowed this rear end. I'm not sure how many inches they took out of it, but they took a lot because, well, it's really close to the frame. So trying to get something in there is going to be a little bit tricky, but I think I can manage. So right here, you can see the calipers, how close they are to the frame. Can't really pull nothing back here for some sort of trailing arm or bar back there, lateral bar. Pulling it forward is going to be the way to go on this one. However, I cannot go underneath. Okay, going underneath right in the center of the frame isn't going to work because of the notch. It's so low down there. I'm going to have to bring some sort of, not even a parallel, just another bar all the way up on both sides. And I think what I'm going to do is pretty similar to like I did the front. It's going to be sort of a 2-link setup, but it's also going to be, what I'm thinking, I'm going to go a little overkill on this. I'm going to do kind of a cantilever system on the back. Why? Because, well, there's not a lot of room also on the top to mount any brackets as far as for doing like an over axle perch setup for the bags, meaning you would put the bag in between the frame and the axle. Once again, like I said, it's an offset. So if you look here, this part already is on a slope. This part's on a flat. So trying to get a bracket that's kind of curved and contoured to the axle here and not over here, and the breather's in the way, and there's all kinds of stuff in the way. I think the best way to do is to build some sort of cantilever system back here. So I'm going to try to explain this to you, and I might end up having just to draw it out because all the stuff that goes on in my brain, it works, okay? It doesn't work when I start building it because, well, there's so much going on upstairs in that brain that, well, you know, I just got to take it one step at a time, and my brain doesn't like to do one step. It likes to do all 6 steps at one time or all 21 steps at one time. So I think this one I'm going to have to end up drawing out because it's a lot. So plan is going to be put some sort of support here, and the bags will be somewhere in this general area here. One bag there, one bag there. Now, as the bag goes up and down, because it's tied to the frame, the bag will go up, the frame should go up. Now I've got to tie it. So remember, I'm gonna have, let's just go draw it out. Make it simple. The front's going to be just a lateral bar, 1 bar, 2-link setup. So one from here to the outside, same thing on the other side, and we'll do some sort of pan hard or some sort of Watts link. That's going to tie everything to the front. The Watts link and the pan hard is going to tie everything side to side. Yes, it may have a little bit of axle roll, but I'm thinking with this cantilever setup that I'm trying to do, I think it's going to be very, very minimal, if any. Yeah. All right. Now, I need to find, oh, here we go. I'm going to find a spot to draw on. We're going to draw right here on this, this here foam stuff, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Let's start with, let's say, here's the bag. There's the bag, right? Shrink. And then this will be on the frame. Now we're looking at it sideways. Somewhere around here, we're going to have another support and a pivot. Okay, that's where cantilevers come in. There's a pivot here, and it's got to tie to the top of the bracket, top of the airbag bracket. So now as the frame goes, whereas the bag goes up and down, so does the frame. Now we've got a pivot point, we've got the frame, now we got to figure out how to tie it to this. It's a square axle, okay? Don't think I'm, not drawing axles correctly. That is actual, well, that's the square axle. Now we need to figure out how to tie it to, so this is going to be the 2-link setup, right? There's going to be a pivot point right here. This will tie into it. It's going to hard mount to the axle, just like we did on the front. If you don't remember the front, you're going to have to go back and draw it there. Not draw it there. Go look at that video. What I think is I'll bring that past a little bit, and we're going to have a stud right here with some sort of heim joint here to there. And then this heim joint should tie that one. So axle will stay stationary. This will go up and down, pivoting here. That's its other pivot point also here. It should bring up the frame. Should. And then some sort of Vanhard bar here or Watts link. Not sure. Does that make sense? I hope so. Because that's kind of how I'm drawing it. Well, I did draw it. That's how I'm going to build this. Yep, the only thing to do is just kind of start picking away at it, and we're going to start with those 2-link bars up front, get those kind of built, and then start working our way towards the back. All right, so in working from the front to the back, I need to make some sort of bar, link bar that goes from the axle where it's going to be hard mounted, and it's going to be a pivot point right here on the frame. I've got some 2-inch inner diameter DOM tube with 1/4-inch wall, so it makes it 2.5-inch total overall dimension. What I did was took that, cut it down. These are 3-inch wide. I've got some of these energy suspension bushings. Those will go inside here. And we've got some 2.5 square tube with 1/4-inch wall as well. This is a little bit smaller setup, but it's thicker wall, so it's as strong as what we did kind of on the front. I need that room, if you remember earlier, between the wheel and the frame. I need that space, so can't go too wide, okay? I've got some of these tabs I had made up, I don't know, a few months back, and they've just been kind of sitting here laying around. Now it's time to use them. I'm going to take these. All right. The plan is to put them on the side of the frame here. There's the spacing I was talking about. I don't have very much room. I think it's 5 inches in here, and if I want to be off the frame, I like to be about a 1/2 inch off the frame and about 1 inch off here. So I've got, really, I can't go anything bigger than 3-inch square tubing, and there's no need to go that big on this. So the idea was to take these 2 tabs, put one on the outside, or on the frame itself, kind of like there, weld it to the frame, and then I need some sort of bracket that comes out and floats the other one kind of out here. Okay? So that is what I'm working on right now. So I've got this 1/4-inch plate again, and this is kind of what I'm gonna do. This is, I believe that's 4 inches wide. Yep, 4 inches wide. I'll taper the edges, so I'll just have basically a 4 by 12 inch piece. I'll taper the edges, kind of round them off. I'll put a break here and a break here. This line's just to show center. And then these brackets will sit. They'll stay. Oh, sort of like that. Boop. Come on, you can do it. All right, nope. Anyways, you got the idea. There's the plate. And then this will kind of get gusseted to the frame and welded into the frame as well. So let's go ahead and get this cut out. Let's go ahead and get these on the brake, round my corners off. And that'll be basically this link bar and all of its mounting points. And then we just work our way to the back, do the other side, kind of mimic that and do the other side. And then start doing the airbags. All right, after some welding, bending, cutting, and grinding, here is the front mount bracket that's going to go on this lateral bar. That will go inside of there, get bolted through, and this is going to get welded to the frame. All right, now that we know where the kind of the front bracket's supposed to go, or where we're going to kind of lay it into, now we need to figure out how to mount the back portion of that lateral bar onto the back. And remember I said earlier, it's going to be a 2-link setup. So that back half is going to be fixed to the axle. And well, how do we do that? Well, let me tell you. Now this could be controversial to some people on here. It depends on who's kind of watching, if you've ever done these before. But I set my lateral bars, you'd like to have them parallel, right? We'd like to have them parallel in basically where we're driving, right? Our typical ride height. However, my ride height may be different from the customers. And if he sells it on the road, everyone's opinions of ride height is different, okay? So I set mine to the travels of the bag, okay? Right now, the way my bags are set up, I've got 10 inches of travel. So I have aired it all the way up to 10, all the way up, measured it, and then aired it all the way down and measured it from the same point. I've got 10 inches of travel. So now I've set it to 5 inches. I'm at 5 inches right now. I'm halfway between my travel. And if you notice, the front bar, pretty close to parallel, okay? We're gonna do that for the back half now. I've got it set to 5 inches. We're gonna make sure the frame is level before we start setting everything else, and then we're going to start popping some pinion angles and looking at the angle of the transmission and the engine. All right, get some angle find. I've got a fancy digital one that kind of magnetizes to wherever you want to put it, and it kind of gives you a readout. So we're going to put it on the face. I put it on the face of the yoke here coming out of the transmission, and it looks like we're reading about 84 and a half. So 84 and a half minus 90, that's going to tell me it's about 5.5 degrees down, okay? Well, we're just going to say down for this. I'll explain it here in a second. Next, we're going to put on the face of the rear end. That one is looking about 82 and a half. So I'll go ahead and raise that up and get that set up. Now, I'm within 2 degrees in air ride setup. That's okay. You don't need to have it 100%, but I like to get them 100%. I say that because, well, picture this. Picture the motor and the transmission, and it's a plane going all the way down, right? It's sitting like this. Now we need the other one. In theory, you would think that's planing up. It's really not planing up. It's planing down if you look at it in angles. I want this plane parallel to the next one. So if that is 6 degrees down, I want this one at 6 degrees too. And that one technically is down also, because if we do say we started the front of the truck and that one is angling down, and do the other one way up top, that one should be parallel and it's angling down. Contrary to what some people think, that is not angled up. Okay, that is not up. The angles on our plane are still going down. So anyways, basically whatever that one's set to, set that one to it also, okay? That way it'll give me a 0. That way it's zeroed out. All right. So on a typical axle, it's round also. This one is a square axle, so I can't just take a bracket and weld it to there. I could. You could take a bracket, cut a 90 out because that's a square, right? Cut a 90 out of it, weld it to the bottom. Well, if you do that, and my axle is pitched like that, well, what happens is the bottom of the bracket now pitches up with it. And like I said, I want these parallel, right? I want this bar to be as parallel to the frame as I can right now. So what we have to do is find the difference of the back and the front, and this is how I do it. You can do it underneath, you can do it on top, you do it however you want to do it. Let me get inside the frame, it's going to be a little bit easier to show you. Now, I've already done all this, so I can tell you the measurements and kind of where it's happening. So we're going to put a level on the top, okay? Now we're going to get this level. Put the bubble in between. There you go. That is simulating the frame, right? Because if we know the frame is level, because we leveled it earlier, the distance between the back and the front, we'll get it level. The distance right here where this finger is what I need to find. And measure already, it's a half an inch. So this is the top. We're obviously mounting it to the bottom, so that means the front of the bracket will have a half-inch gap compared to the back. It's not going to be a gap. If you want to have a gap in there, you can. You can use the gap. You can make it at 90. You'll have to get some sort of wedge or some sort of shim in there to get it to sit parallel. But I don't like using wedges. I'm going to go ahead and weld that to it. And if I'm off it later, I can add some wedges if I want to, but I want this close as I can to being parallel with the frame and everything else. So right here is what I'm talking about. This is the bracket. This is the front of the bracket. This is going to be welded up on the axle. And if you see right here, remember how I said there should be a gap? This would be the gap. This from this, if we were to draw a parallel line right here, because this is the back of the axle, draw a line parallel to the table. The distance between here and here is that half inch. That's going to give me my wedge that I was talking about. Now, when I weld this to the axle, everything should be sitting parallel to the frame. Put 2 holes in it here, like I said. That is going to get bolted to the back. This will be welded to the axle. This will be welded to the front. And that is going to get 2 bolts going through it. Can't do 1 bolt because, well, then that will pivot and it'll be all kind of messing up everything inside of here. So 2 bolts, going to lock that into the axle. And if for any reason later on I need to service this, or the customer needs to service, whatever, whoever needs to take this out, they don't have this long bar sitting there with the axle where they want to swap the axle out later, or maybe that one breaks and then have to get a new one. They should be able to copy this later and pull that whole link bar out of there. So There you go. I'm going to go ahead and build up the other side. And then we'll kind of get them in there and start going from, what do we got to do next? Bag brackets. We're working our way from the front to the back. We got some bag brackets to build after this. All right, got the 2 holes drilled in here. Got them drilled in the bracket that's already installed in the truck. Some 5/8 bolts, washers, lock washers, nuts, all the goodies. Install this link bar over here. All right, I got both of the link bars hooked up. And this is kind of what the end result is. Still going to put some gussets from here down. All that stuff, the finish welding, the painting, all the gussets, all that stuff's going to happen, towards the end for finishing, because I still want to gusset around the C-notch as well on both sides, plate both sides, get it a little bit stronger, and box back here a little bit. But this is, here we go. So we got the front bar there, and we've got the back hard bar there. All right, so now that the front of the back is all done, we need to start going ahead and figuring out how to get this cantilever system set up. And now what I'm working on, or what I need to start working on, is putting another cross brace across here, and then the bag here, and a bag here. So what I think I'm going to use is more of that square tubing. I'm going to put the square tubing across the bottom. This is kind of my template for my bag. And I'll make 2 lower brackets that are going to set in here. So that'll be the frame. If you think there'll be a bracket or something, basically one like this, setting on there, and that's where the bottom of the bag will mount to. And then we can start putting, after that, tabs on top of this. We're going to still need an upper bracket as well, but there'll be some tabs sitting sort of like this or something like that to start working our way forward. So let me go ahead and get these upper bag brackets cut out and mounted on this bar, and then we'll go ahead and get that burned in to that. All right, here we are. Back bags are mounted. Got the plates and the cross member all put in here. Now comes the fun part, okay? Remember I said this pumpkin, we're gonna call it, actually looks more like a basketball, but the pumpkin basketball is not too far, but it's offset to the left. So now I need to get a bar of some sort. I need to translate this up and down movement and lock it into the axle somehow. Okay, so with a cantilever, we're going to have another pivot somewhere in here. Now, if this bag is completely compressed, it's about 4 inches. Actually, it is exactly 4 inches. And where I got my brackets, I'm going to measuring tape out here. It's about 3 3/4 flush to the top of this frame. So I've got a little bit, I got about a 1/4 inch clearance. That's going to help with when I put my bracket on top of here, it's not banging and clanging or getting close to the frame. So I should have a little bit of offset. I say offset, but it should have a little bit of clearance there. That is why I put that mount where I put it. Anyways, so now we got to focus on getting a link bar from here to there. And remember with the cantilever system, like we said, somewhere in the middle here, right about here-ish, we're going to have a pivot, okay? So I built some tabs or a top bracket and built on here, and I wanted my next pivot's the end of this yardstick. If I had it like basically parallel with the frame, when the bag raises up, the next piece that's sitting down here on the angle, it's going to want to kind of over center way too much. So the idea here is I want to have this support higher than this lowest point, at least by 1 inch or 2 inches. So if this lowest point is the top of the frame, I need to put a bar on top of this or some sort of, I don't know, I might do round tube or something, but something higher than this lowest point. That way, when let's pretend this is completely aired out, the link bar is sitting up. If it's sitting up at some sort of degree, I think I'm probably going to do, it's probably about 15 degrees or so. When this is up, you think this is hard mounted, and this airs down, that angle that's hooked on there isn't going to be so dramatic, and as far as it wants to over center itself. So let's just keep building as we go, and maybe it'll start making a little bit more sense as we build along. What I need to focus on now is staying as close to the frame as possible so I can get some tabs on there. If I center on the bag, well, I'm going to be too close to that basketball pumpkin thing, and I can't really get any tabs on there. So I need to make a bracket where the pivot point is offset just a little bit here. I want to be about a 1/2 inch away from this, 3/4 of an inch away from my frame. That should give me enough room to put some tabs just on that slope of the axle. So, all right, let's build a cross member from here to here that's higher than this lowest point and somewhere close to, I'm going to start with 15 degrees-ish. If I have to go higher, I will. I'm just going to kind of get it mocked up. All right, I went ahead and made the top plate, made this side flat because I know that's where my lateral bar is going to be going, and I need a tab just like this side. Need the tabs as far over as possible because we have 1/4 inch plate, 1/4 inch bushing, so that's a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to bring just a little bit in, 1/4 inch again. That'll give me my 3/4 to be able to meet some sort of tabs and whatever else down here that I explained to you, about 42 seconds ago. Anyways, so I went ahead and just cut some tabs out, drew them up on, my cardboard assisted drawing, and then plasma cut it out. So got the height I needed as far as what I think is going to be able to clear. If not, we can kind of clearance this section out here. All right, so I ran into a little bit of problems, but I got them all figured out, and they're kind of back to where I need to be. Problems meaning more or less I wanted it a certain way, and now I'm going to have to kind of change it to kind of form, fit, function this truck. So, all right, I went ahead. I've got a pivot point here. I've got another pivot point here. Went ahead and put another cross member in here. Put some standoff tabs across. The distance between here and here, the height difference is 2 3/4. So over and up 2 3/4. That should be plenty as far as getting my lift. Now, we're gonna go from here to here, lateral bar, and then another bar from here to the bottom of the axle. On the bottom of the axle, we're gonna have what's called a dog bone on the end of that, so it has another pivot point down there, actually 2 pivot points at the bottom. Now, what I wanted to do to kind of aesthetically please this thing, which you're not gonna see anyways, but in my brain, I can see it, and I want to make it look good. I wanted the lateral bar that's going from here to here and there to there to kind of be in a line. So we go there to there and then just kind of dip down almost like it was just a bent square tubing. Can't do that. Remember earlier I said I need at least, well, I want 3/4, but I need 3/4 inch right there. Anything more than 3/4 for that 2-inch square tubing to be mounted at the bottom, it's too much. And well, I do. I have too much by 1/4, meaning I want a gap between the frame so when this is going up and down, it ain't gonna, if it twists at all, which it shouldn't, but I wanted some clearance, right? So I have a 1/4 inch there, got a 1/4 inch plate, got a 1/4 inch bushing, and I need a 1/4 inch to weld if I were to keep this in line all the way down the square tubing onto the round tube. That's 1 inch. Can't do that. So what I'm gonna have to do now is I kind of offset these just a little bit. This bar can sit anywhere it wants in here now. It's gonna go kind of to the right side of here. And then the other bar is gonna be on the left side of there, which should put me, actually I'm gonna be at a 1/2 inch between the frames. So I'm gonna be less, which is good for me because that means there's more room this way. So I need to stay as far left of this axle as possible. So that's where I'm at right now. I got everything just kind of tacked in there right now because if it doesn't work or I have to change something, I just want to blow off them tacks and we'll be good to go and restart this. But by my math right now, everything seems like it's going to work out, but we don't know until I hook all the bars up and then kind of cycle this through. So let me go ahead and I popped a measurement between this bar and that bar. It's 18 inches center. I'll go ahead and get this one built up and mounted, and then we'll start working our way. Actually, on this one, we're going to work our way from the back to the front. So let me get that one built. Let me get it tacked in there, and we'll see if this thing starts to come together. All right, I got the one bar in. There you go. Doesn't look too bad. It's centered up here, offset to the right here. Still parallel with the frame. So overall, I'm happy with it. I do need to go to the store and get some more metal, which I don't even know what ain't happening tonight. I guarantee you. It's pretty late right now. So morning, I'll go get some more square tube, finish this side up, cycle it through, make sure all my angles of the dangles ain't getting in the way of the jangles. Anyways, yep, more metal, and we'll be able to continue. All right, it is the next morning, and it is finalized this side of the cantilever setup. I'm gonna go ahead and put some tabs down here at the bottom. I go, oh, there's 2 tabs right there. Get these 2 tabs mounted somewhere down in here so I can get basically my dog bone from there to here, and then that's going to be able to give me a measurement or allow me to measure to go from the other half or the pivot point of this back system to the dog bone. So cut some tabs, weld some tabs, and take some measurements. All right, so before I mount the tabs, I got to figure out where the center is so that bar comes in straight, and then the link bar or dog bone that's going up and down, yeah, it looks good. Now, there's going to be heim joints on it, so if we're not exactly spot on, it'll tilt a little bit. Now, I don't want to see it tilt, so I want to be as close as possible. So here's what I got to do. From the frame, I know we have, again, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then I need a 1/4 inch of welding. So that is 3/4 of an inch, right? 1, 2, 3/4. The tube is 2 inches, so half of that is 1 inch. So 1 3/4 off of the frame should be the center of where my dog link bar is going to come up. So, this wide, I believe, is like 1 1/4 inch. So I can just kind of eyeball where another 1/2 inch is. So if the frame is nice and straight, like it is, I should be able to set this right there, make a mark down there, add a 1/2 inch to it, and that'll be my center mark. All right, got it marked. Don't mind this one. That's my first one. I added my 1/2 inch, and that little kick right there, well, I get a little shaky. So this line is my center mark, and what I've got is a heim joint setup. I just kind of cut some tabs, cut them at a That's a 90, but remember this axle is rolled back a little bit. So in order to get the pitch I wanted up, the axle is, there it is, rolled up a little bit. I want that tab kind of under the axle just a little bit. So cut the mouths to a 90, and one is, oh, the light's messing me up. One is significantly shorter than the other one because, well, the axle drops down here, which is going to be the short side, and is up here, which is going to be the tall side. So, get on my little roller. Boom. There's the idea. Well, maybe not that much because that's a humongous gap. There we go. Sink them in a little bit more. There we go. Get that tacked in right there at the bottom, and then I can start taking a measurement for the top link bar. All right, I got the tabs all welded up in there. They're offset where they need to be. I actually kicked them over just a little bit for those heim joints to kind of move around. All right, time to make the dog bone that goes from the axle to the top of the cantilever system. And well, I've got some 3/16 wall pipe, 2 heim joints. We're gonna put those together like so. There you go. Here's what the dog bone looks like. I've got about 7.5 inches from eyelet to eyelet. Just took that thick round bar, put the bungs in, and well, there you go. Dog link, heim joints both ends. Now it should stick. Just finding the bottom there, stick it up, and then get a measurement from the top of this to the back side, or it'd be the front side, this lateral bar, and we can wrap this thing up. Got the dog link hook done. It's just kind of being held up by a magnet in the position I want it. It's definitely clearancing the axle plenty at the bottom to where I need it. And I've got the rear bags in its lowest position, and I've got that angle of the dog link pretty much out as far as I can. It shouldn't go in anymore. When this thing goes to raise up, it should push that dog link down. So if it goes any lower, which it might drop another, I don't know, call it a 1/4 inch, I still have enough room at the bottom of that dog link to where it's not going to be pinching anything. No, you can't see it on the camera. Anyways, let's see. I got the eyelet to the center, basically that 1 3/4 we were looking for to the center. That is to the center there. Now I need to take a measurement from the center of there to the center of this, and then make another one of these for going down there. Looking at pretty close to 20 inches. And I'll get a better reading here in a minute, but that's roughly the idea. 20 inches from the center of there back down here. That should get it done. All right, last end link bar is all fabbed up and installed. So here's kind of what we're working with. Got the bag on the very back. Got this link bar going up to a pivot. This pivot goes down to the dog link we built, and that dog link should keep everything nice and tight and not moving. Now, when this does pivot, we have that heim joint at the bottom. That's going to allow free movement back and forth here on this front end link. And well, I actually think it came out a lot better than what was in my head. I wanted these bars, like I said earlier in the video, I wanted these bars kind of in line, but I actually think once we get this other side installed, I think it's going to look cooler. You're going to have 2 inset bars and then 2 offset bars. I think it's going to look neater. Anyways, so there's the gap I was talking about earlier. We got that clearance pretty good. It's, I'm assuming, going to ride or articulate the way I think it is. This end link bar, I did beef up the very end of it because this is a 2-inch bar and that eyelet and everything with that heim joint is about 1 3/4 inches. I didn't want a weak point on the end, so I added another 1/8 inch plate on the top. I think she's gonna hold. Well, she's gonna have to. Now, I'm gonna throw some air to this and we're gonna see if this thing goes up and down. Hopefully no side to side. It's probably gonna go side to side a little bit because like I said, we only have one side hooked up. These airbags are rated, not rated, what is it? They have a 9-inch stroke on them. With this setup, I think by whatever my math was doing, we're gonna get probably 6 to 7. I'm gonna say probably 6.5 just because it's between 6 and 7. So, I don't know, we'll see. When the bag goes up, it's gonna kind of curl forward a little bit. So that's where we're gonna lose a little bit of that stroke, but either way, it's gonna be just fine for the front when I air that one all the way. If you air that front all the way up, I mean, it's getting 9 inches of stroke. So the front's gonna be higher, but we'll set the settings on the valves and all the air ride to make sure everything goes up a level and comes down where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and get an airline hooked up to this thing and let's see what it looks like. All right, just for my reference, I want to see kind of where we're sitting right now. All right, we're sitting about 15 inches. All right. Yeah, 15. Now, it's going to be a little tricky getting air into it, plug it with my thumb, and kind of get a measurement. We'll see how far we can go. I'm just going to slowly... All right. That's about... I mean, that's maxed out. That would be that 9 inches I was talking about. And we're at 21. So 6 inches. I was thinking we were going to get about 6.5, but we're getting about 6 inches of travel. Yeah. Yeah, hey, she works. All right, want to get you a different angle so you can kind of see right down the old pipeline of this thing. Goes all the way up. It is going that way. Well, I say some, but it's going over there pretty well. You see that front link bar, it is kind of going up under the axle a little bit, but once again, that is because we don't have the other side hooked up. Once the other side's hooked up and the panhard bar is on, it's going to keep that frame kind of, should keep the frame nice and straight. I say should, it's going to. We're not hitting on that dog, the dog bone is not hitting the axle. Everything seems to be, you know, good and sturdy, good and tight. All right, there you go. That's the back half build of this F700. I still have to do the other side. It's going to be pretty simple though. We'll pull that other arm off. We'll measure it. We'll cut it. We'll weld it. We'll put it in the spot and call that a day. This is still going to be another, there's going to be another video on this. That's going to be plumbing the air, getting all the electrical ran. What else? Brakes, steering. By then, everything else should be pretty much gusseted, ready to go. And we'll probably give you an update on that next video for that, which brings me to, if you're watching this video, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with this build, keep up with all the other previous builds, and keep up with the future builds. It's that simple. Look down below, hit subscribe. If you are subscribed, share this out. The only way we grow this channel is for you guys right there to share this out, subscribe, tell your friends about it, keep watching, throw some comments down there, throw some likes, throw some dislikes too. I'm cool with that. Another way to help support is also go to the website, thevintage10customs.com. I'm not sure if the stickers will be up there just yet when this video posts, but we do have some stickers that are already out. Not on the website, they're in my possession. We still have a few hats left, if you guys want some of the hats. And we've got magnetic koozies. These things stick anywhere. One there, there's one there, they go anywhere. If you guys want to see these stickers on a t-shirt, let me know, drop it down in the comments. I have a couple made up already. We're going to see how those kind of do on the website, how they sell. I've got a few, this one? Yep. I got a few personal ones already made up too. Anyways, oh, I do have some shirts. I bought these fancy shirt hangers for shows. So these are the current shirts we have on the website. And, well, you just got lucky. They're still out there. Anyways, don't forget, guys, Like, subscribe, share this out. We will see you guys next time.